Oceanicod, Galele Chigedo Kohig, Wade Blevins, Dawadon, Galele Chigedo Kohig, Kohig, Josh Kohi, Saguhine, Jalaki de Lo Costi, Hia, Nakine, Jalaki, RSU TV, we gonna do go. Welcome, my name is Wade Blevins, and I'm really happy to be here. So happy that I said it twice today, so I guess. So today, this is Cherokee 4 here on RSU TV. This is our 31st Cherokee lesson. So as you know, we've been kind of working our way through the some older materials, and so today is no different. We're going to do a short little story that's fairly easy to make your way through, except for one word. There's one word in there that has kind of stumped everyone. So I'm going to, we'll come to the word and I'll tell you, what we've kind of decided. And it doesn't really stand in the way of you understanding what the entirety of the story is. So anyway, so we're going to do that, and it's about squirrel hunting, which is something that a lot of Cherokee people did growing up. Fried squirrel, squirrel and dumplings, squirrel brains, very commonly eaten in the Cherokee world. I grew up eating fried squirrel. My neighbors, they made squirrel and dumplings. My neighbor Bobby, she made really good squirrel and dumplings. We didn't have a lot of squirrel and dumplings, but and then my mom and sister, I personally didn't care for them, but my mom and my sister, when they were young, they used to fight over the head because they would eat the brains, because to them that was the best part, was you take a butter knife and you crack the skull and you open it up and you eat the brains. Now, however, I don't recommend that you eat squirrel brains because evidently there's some kind of disease that squirrels can get, and it kind of resides in the brain, and you can contract the disease that way. So nowadays, they don't recommend that you eat squirrel brains anymore. But when I was growing up, squirrel hunting was a big part of our lives. We squirrel hunted a lot, especially in the fall time, in the winter. Get big fat squirrels, and skin them and fry them. A lot of people think, because we're native, we ate deer and buffalo and those kinds of things. And we did eat some of that, but most of your older Cherokee folks, when you talk to them, they didn't really have a lot of deer meat growing up, and we were the same way. We ate it sometimes, but we didn't eat it a lot. My dad's family, they ate deer a little more often, but I think for us, my grandpa didn't have a gun that was high-powered enough. We had a 410 and we had a 22. And of course, you could go rabbit hunting, you could go squirrel hunting, and those kinds of things. But we didn't have a big enough gun because they were, kind of expensive. So we didn't have, a strong enough gun or high-powered enough gun, I think, to make deer hunting a viable option for us. But my dad's family, they hunted deer quite a bit. They were a larger family, though, and of course it makes more sense, because there were so many of them, to have a larger animal like a deer, to feed everyone. So anyway, so that's just my own personal experience, and a lot of other speakers and people, that grew up in Cherokee communities, in speaking to them, older folks and stuff, they have very similar stories to mine. We talked about it one day. We were like, yeah, I don't really remember eating a lot of deer growing up, and they were the same way, So anyway, be that as it may, today's story is about squirrel hunting. Okay, so come, Idalena. Jalagi Diwoni. All right. So here is the proper first page for what we're going to do today. I'll give you just a couple seconds to see if you can read this up here. So, of course, in the English, you can see this was done in 1965. This is called the Cherokee Primer, or some people call it a primer. I don't know what the proper word in this case. Of course, if you're putting a first coat of paint on, that's a primer. But my understanding is that if it's something that you learn to read, most people call it a primer. So, potato, potato. Anyway, this was written by Willard Walker in 1965 by the Carnegie Corporation Cross-Cultural Education Program in the University of Chicago. Was printed by the Northeast State College Press. And then you can see it was so popular, the first printing was in March of 1965, and then they did another printing in October of 1965, and then they did a third printing in December of 1965. So evidently, this was a really, really popular resource when it first came out. So let's read the Cherokee. So let's read through it together. Let me see if I can use this and see if it, oh yeah. So we're going to go through this word right here first, and then this one, and then this one, and then this here, okay? I'll just do it this way. All right, so di go weli, di go whale, di zalagi, di go liedi, di de lo qua stoti. All right, so some of those words may sound familiar for you. Di go whale, remember that's a book, right? Di jalagi, if you take the D off of it, you should know that word, jalagi, Cherokee. So a Cherokee book, digoli yed, to read, didelo quastoti, didelo quasti, didelo quast is to learn. And then this doti is something used. So something used to learn with, right? So a Cherokee book to read in order to learn, right? So that's kind of what that means. So if it rang a bell to you and you're like, oh, the parts of it sound familiar, then great, you're on the right track, right? So, and if not, don't worry about it. When you're ready, come back through and look through this lesson again, and it will start to ring a bell, and it'll start to kind of tickle parts of your brain. You're like, oh, yeah. For some people, Cherokee is really difficult because it's hard for them to kind of tune out the extra information, all the stuff in the front and all the stuff in the back, because our English language is not really built that way to the extent that it is in Cherokee. We do have things like that, but it's not nearly to the extent that it's done in Cherokee. So for some people, that's really hard, but just train yourself to kind of look towards the middle and find the root and kind of ignore the stuff on the outside first, and then you'll get an overall sense of what the word is, and then you can kind of look at the modifiers, right, the affixes, the prefixes and suffixes, and kind of figure out, it's because all of that information, all the information in the front and the back of the word is giving you more information, right? So, and I really believe, I've thought about it a lot, why there are so many people who grew up around Cherokee all their lives. Their parents were speakers and things like that, and they can understand Cherokee when you talk to them. They know exactly what you're saying. They know what you're talking about, but they can't speak it themselves. And I think that's why, is because they grew up kind of listening for that root, and so they pick out the roots, and so they know what's going on. It's just putting all the stuff in front and in back is the challenge, right? And doing it properly. So so I really think that's why there are a lot of people who can understand Cherokee, but they are not speakers themselves. So all right. So here is the text. So the text is here. How did I do this? Let me look here. Okay. So let's go through the story first, and then if we have time left, then we'll go over the words at the top, okay? So the story starts right here, okay? This part right here. Go ahead and read it yourself. It's right down here. If you can't see that small print up there, read it down there. Let's read it together. Saloli juyohi. Okay, so saloli juyohi. Juhyo. Okay. So, saloli. This brings me to, I saw a really funny joke on Facebook. It's a very specifically Cherokee joke. I don't know who first came up with it, but whoever did, good job. So the joke says, how does a Cherokee squirrel cross the road, right? How does a Cherokee squirrel cross the road? And the answer is slowly, slowly, right? It's kind of a dad joke, right? Because slowly is our word for squirrel, and it sounds like you're saying slowly, right? How does he cross the road? He crosses slowly, okay? So that's a good way to remember the word slowly is squirrel. Chuhyohi, that looking for them. So looking for squirrels is what this says, looking for squirrels or hunting squirrels, right? All right, let's look at this first line. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. I'll give you just a few seconds to see if you can read through it yourself and to see if you know what it says, okay? Okay, let's read through it together. Sagu, sagu, iuwagidi, okay? Sawu, iuwakti, okay? Probably in spoken Cherokee, in normal everyday Cherokee, probably they would say just sawu you walked, okay? Sawu you walked. A chuja, a chuj. Do yoha, do hyoha. Saloli, saloli. Okay? So, sawu you walked, a chuja do hyoha salol. Okay, sawu you walked, a chuj do hyoha salol. So can you translate that? Do you know what that means? Sawu, one, you walked one time. Achuj, a boy. Du hyoha, he was looking for them. He looked for them. Shalole, squirrels. So he was looking for squirrels. One time, a boy was looking for squirrels. We know that he's talking about more than one squirrel, even though the word salole, there is no singular or plural to squirrel. Salole is one squirrel, salole could be 100 squirrels. The reason we know that he's looking for more than one squirrel is the word right in front of it. It has a D, a du hyoha, du hyoha. He was looking for them, okay? Otherwise, it would say u yo u hyoha, okay? He was looking for it, and that means he was looking for one squirrel. He was looking for a very particular squirrel, I guess. Sawu, you walked chuj du hyoha salol. Okay, so one time a boy was looking for squirrels. Okay, I'll give you just a few seconds to read through this yourself and see how much of it you can translate. Okay, so it says Eligaya, Eligaya, Osta. And there should be an oo there. Let me fix that really quick. So let uno oo. That should be oo. All right. So there we go. Okay. See, there it is. Okay. So osta uno hali dosti. Uno hali dosti. Okay. So this is that word that I was telling you about, eligaya, eligaya. The nearest that we can surmise, I spoke to, I don't know, 5 or 6 different speakers. Only one of those speakers, the oldest of the speakers that I talked to, she was the only one that was like, oh yeah, I remember hearing it from the old folks when I was young. But she kind of had a hard time really telling me kind of what it meant, you know. The nearest that we can kind of come up with is that it means Eliguya, is like he was truly thought of. Okay, Eliguya, Eligaya, Eligaya. And so it was like he was truly thought of. We've talked about that ya, and how that ya, Yahweh ya, Saloli ya, how that ya kind of intensifies the word, makes it, the true epitome of what something can be. So in the translation, and this does have a translation to it, in the translation it just says really, but speakers nowadays they don't use this eligaya for really. And you may know, you can use the word do you or do he you, and I think later on in this word in this story, I think they may use dohiyu in another sense, but so I think it was, it's like he was truly thought of. Osta, next word, osta, good, uno hali dasti, at hunting, okay? So, uno hali dasti, he was good at, so he was a really good hunter, but truly it says, again, we're not entirely sure, but it was like he was really thought of to be good at hunting, okay? So he was considered to be the top of his game. He was really a good hunter. Okay, and if you are a speaker and you're listening to this and literally what Eli Gayan is, please reach out. I would love to. Get your input. So anyway, next one. I'll give you a few minutes to read through that yourself, and then we will read it together. Okay. So this says, Nigohila, you know halena, Eli hilanski, igai, saloli, de kanohi hon. Okay, de kanohi hon. Okay, nigohila, always. Halena. If he went hunting, Eli, he would, he lunch several, igai, and that's a quantifier word of them, I guess. Several of them, saloli, squirrels. Decano, he would habitually bring. So always when he went hunting, he would bring back several squirrels. Okay? Nigo hila, halena, eli, hilanski, iga in salol, de kano hoi. Okay? Always, if he went hunting, Eli, he would, hitlanski, several, igai of them, saloli, squirrels, dekano, he would bring them. Okay? All right. So this one here, I'll give you a few seconds to read this one. Okay, Let's read it together. Sa gu no, i u wa gi di, i u walk di. Okay, same word as up there. Sagu no i u walk di. Ju we na sa, Gadu si i ye dong. Okay, Gadu si i ye dong. E do ha, Gal li gogi, I ga i. Du le i, sa lo le. Okay, du le i. So let me just double check myself. I just want to make sure. Okay. So most of these words that you see in here should sound familiar to you, okay? So, sakwu no, and then one, remember that no means then. Sakwu no, you walked, and then one time, juwe nasa, his house. Gadusi yedang, up above his house, okay? Gadusi means like on top, but it doesn't mean that he was like on top of his house, but he was like up above his house, okay? He was there. So he was, kind of indicates he was like in the hills above his house, okay, out past his house, in Cherokee or even in English, back in the hills and stuff, we would say that, you go up above the house, and but that doesn't mean you go on top of the house, So it was interesting to see that they talked about it this way in Cherokee as well. He was up above his house. 7 of them. He killed them. He killed 7 squirrels. Okay, so and then one time he was up above his house and killed 7 squirrels. Okay. Sagu no iu walk juwe na sa katusi ye da e do ha gal kuogi ga e du le salon. Okay. Then this one is kind of an interesting. This is kind of an interesting sentence, but let's see if you can read through it, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about why I think it's interesting. Okay. All right, let's read through it together. Uji no, ni go hila, du la on. Okay. Digan so di. Ale chuja. Dekani de go yi gi. Dekani ko yi gi. Okay. So Ujino, then his mom, Nigohil, always. Du Laon, she would put him up. Digan digan so di in the pantry or in the cupboard. Okay, that's this digan so di. Digan so di is a pantry or a cupboard. The nearest that I can figure out is that this word actually goes back to when we would preserve things by, like we would have like a root cellar, and you'd put things in the root cellar where it was nice and cool and you'd keep them there. Or even before that, we would dig holes and we would put food in it and we would cover them back up, and it would help keep the food fresh longer. Near as I can tell, this word digansoti actually kind of refers to that, even though a pantry or a cupboard is not a hole in the ground, but this word kind of has that word for it being like a hole. Okay, so I find that interesting. Ale, ale, and chuja, the boy, degan, degan de go, goi, go, goi, goiki, degan, degan goik, degan goik. So it's like selling them. Okay, so then the mother always put them in the cupboard before the boy could sell them. Okay, degante goik. Okay, so uchino niko hila du la on degan so di ale chuta degan de goik. Degan goik. That's a hard word for me to say. Goik, goik. There we go. All right, next one. Let's read through this one, okay? So, okay, let's read through it together. Okay, na he you no jage sa udo he you ilanski igai aneha shaloli. Okay, so nahiyu no, and then at that time, nahiyu means at that time, no means and then. So then at that time, jagesa used to be, udohiyu a lot, udohiyu, ilansk several, igai, or udohiyu really, ilansk a lot, igai of them, aneha they were there, saloli squirrels. So then at that time, there used to be really quite a lot of squirrels around. Is what it's trying to tell you. Nahiyu no jagesa udohiyu ilanski igai aneha salol. Okay. So nahiyu no, then at that time jagesa used to be, udohiyu really, ilansk several, igai of them, aneha they were around, salole squirrels. Okay, so Were you able to get any of those words? If you did, awesome. If you didn't, that's perfectly okay as well. All right, I'll give you just a few seconds and then we will try and read this one. So this one gets kind of weird. I'll just warn you ahead of time. Okay, so asiguno, kohi jiki, kohijik, kojik, gano hali dohon, gano hali dohon, iu no ni da de lo quaskana yiki. Okay. So asikuno, and then now, and then lately, kohijik, right now. So that would be like kind of like saying nowadays. Gano hali donho. He would hunt habitually. That on at the end means he's habitually doing it. So he would hunt. Iu no if ni dadelo quaskana, no school yiki wasn't. So if there was no school, so it's saying nowadays he would hunt if there was no school. Okay. Asiwu no kohijik kojik ganohali donho iu no nidadel quaskana ik nidadel quaskan yik. Nidadelo quaskan yik. There we go. So sometimes you kind of have to play around with dropping letters and stuff for it to kind of flow. So asiku no kojik ganohali donho iu no nidadel quaskan yik. So if there was no school, he would go hunting. All right? Let's read the next one. All right. Okay. So I wrote this lesson, quite a while ago, so it's kind of news to me too. I have to kind of read through it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what they're talking about now. All right, so this says ya na no dan na de lo quaska you ni yo histan I gano hali doho. All right, so ya don't know if it occurred, if it happened, dandelo quaska school, uni yo histana, school broke, if they took a break from school, right? Because sometimes we'll say idi yo histana, let's take a break, right? So this is the word uni yo histana. if they took a break. Iga no hali dohoi. Then he would go hunting. So if it happened that school was on break, he went hunting, is what this is saying. So, all right, and then I think we just have 2 sentences left. Yep. So I'll give you a few seconds to read through this, and then we will talk about it. Okay, so here's that word again, eligaya, eligaya. Udohiyu. See, and that's the weird thing in this sentence, you know. Well, we'll get there. Gano hali dohi, gano hali dohi iga hi a chuj. Okay, so elikaya, that's the word that we're not real sure what it means. And here, udohiyu, very good, very, truly, ganohali dohi, hunter, iga, it's like a quantifier word, he aachuj, this boy. So this boy truly was a real hunter, a true hunter. Okay? Oh, this is a fairly easy one. So I'll read through it, and then I'll see if you can tell me what it means. So this says, Judelo quastino, ulukti, ulukti, ale, unohali dasti. Okay, so most of these words you should have at least an inkling on what it's kind of talking about. So, udelo quastino, okay, delo quast, right, related to the word to learn or school. So, ulukti, he likes it. Ale, and uno hale dosti, hale don't, right, is to hunt. Hale dosti is hunting, right, to go hunting. So school, he likes school and to hunt. So he likes to go to school and he likes to hunt. Okay? So that's the entire thing. Let's go ahead and read through the whole deal one more time. All right. So read through with me. Salole chuhyohi. Sagu iu walked a chuj du hyoha salole. Elikaya osta uno hali dosti. Nikohi lan halen eli hitlans kiga is salol dekano hi hon. Sagu no you walked juwenasa katusi yud doha kalkogi iga dule salol. Uchino Niko hila du lao digan so di ale tuja degan de goig. Na hiu no tukesa udo hiu I lanski I ga I aneha salol. A siku no kohichik kojik kano hali doho iu no nidadel ko skun yik. Yatana no dandelo ko skun unio his tana ikano hali doho I. Elika ya udohi yugano hali dohi iga ale hi atuj judelo costino ulakti ale uno hali dosti. Okay, so it's very short, right? It's talking about liking to go squirrel hunting. So let's see if we can read these words up here, okay? Okay? Itigoliya. No gui, si, noksi. Kato ust noksi is a star, okay? This is ulusat. We've talked about that. It's transparent. This is a glass, right? Gohuel is a book or a paper. This one, kanesk, that's hay. Kanesk is hay. Okay. This next one, diniotli. Children. Hia, wesa, a cat. This one, kawaya, huckleberries. This one, skoitskwa, 100. Hiin, do your wig. He's tired. He's sleepy. Do your wig. He's tired. Okay. Hiin, adanela is a building. Okay. This one's kind of hard. This is G quisti. Okay. This one, dikanogist, that's a radio. Okay, dilio, socks. Agilankt, I like it. And kahwi atlistot, coffee cup. Okay? All right, so that brings us, we're just about out of time today, okay? So that brings us to the end of our lesson today. Hopefully you were able to follow along. You kind of were able to figure out what was going on even before I translated it for you. If not, that's perfectly fine. Listen to it several times. Read through it yourself. Do your best. From all of us here at RSU TV and Cherokee Nation, I just want to say, wadon, jadok sastes, dondago ha'i.